Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers Transfer Agenda Show. We have a few different faces on with us tonight, which is good. You know, he's get bored of looking at Grizz and Shawnee all the time, I'm sure. Tonight I'm joined by Andy. Andy, how are you?
Oh, good. How are you, Keith?
Excellent. Andy, do you want to show the listeners and the viewers there what you're wearing there? A nice spanky new Nike Liverpool top, is it?
Oh yeah, vapor version and all.
Vapor.
So, yeah.
Wouldn't have anything else, would you?
Yeah, you have to
None
kind
of
of go up. You have to go up a half size.
Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Extra large boys for you. So, only the best. None of that tenement stadium stuff for you. Only the good stuff.
Oh no. Wouldn't be caught. Just in case.
Would lower yourself. Well, that's it. You never know who you'll meet.
No.
But you know, these are the sacrifices you have to make. Stro is joining us tonight. Yeah, Stro, how are you, my friend?
I'm all right. You?
Good. We haven't spoke to you in a while. It's good to get you back on.
Yeah, it's good to be back on, man. It's been a while.
Excellent. Well, you're back with us now, so you know the viewers will have to familiarise themselves with that lovely mank drawl that you have. It always goes down a tree. People think you're an undercover, but we know better than that, don't we? Yeah, that's it. I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Phil Egan. Phil, for any Irish fans, are probably familiar with Off the Ball. Phil works for Off the Ball and the Ian Dempsey Show. Phil, how are you?
Very well. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
No, delighted. Like we said, a pleasure to have you on. As I said, we usually have the same four faces on this, and I'm seeing the chat there. People are looking for Grizz and all. Well, he's not here tonight. We've upgraded. We've got a better panel tonight than we usually have, so no pressure on the lads here.
Well, I've got Grizz's notes anyway, so we're safe.
Well, that's it. Well, I was only going to say, Andy, Grizz gets all his information off you, and anyway, so you know, I think.
Yeah. I've got Grizz's notes that I normally give to Grizz, so
yeah, there you go. That'll do. That's all they need. Lads, a few we'll get started, right? So everyone's been watching the news. I know there's a lot going on. The transfer merry-go-round is starting to pick up pace a bit now. And we were speaking on Tuesday night, myself, Shawnee, Grizz and Gav, saying that it's only going to take a few dominoes to fall to start the whole thing moving. Andy, I'm going to come to you. How do you think Liverpool are going to start doing their business soon, or are we all building ourselves up for a bit of disappointment? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I've maintained that they'll make some signings from the beginning anyway, despite them kind of playing things down in the media about having no money. Look, we all know they have money, but Liverpool won't be bent over a barrel like a lot of big clubs when it comes to spending. We've seen with Jamal Lewis, they were prepared to pull out and go for plan B. We went for plan B loads of times if the deal wasn't right. So if the things aren't perfect, Liverpool won't do it. And I'd much rather that than desperation. It has to be that player, doesn't. Whoever comes in, once they're on the list and Klopp's happy, they'll perform. So I'm fairly confident they'll make a couple of signings. Look, we've a centre back to cover. We've done our left back. I think Thiago's very much up in the air. A lot depends on what's going to happen with Wijnaldum. Reports coming out now, there's no intention of signing. Extending. So I think Thiago, if a deal can be done, will happen. But I don't think they're going to scrimp. I just think that things have to be right. We've seen with Jamal Lewis, as I said, they were prepared to walk away despite Norwich moaning over it and delivering skips outside Anfield. They weren't too happy. But we moved on, and if we need another midfielder and Thiago doesn't happen, they'll move on as well. Look, it's very rare that you'll say in your support and the club life that you can fully trust them and trust what they're doing and their methods. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm going to be happy either way, I'll be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Phil, I'll come to you now. And as Andy touched on there, we've got the left back cover in that we desperately did need. It was a gaping hole in the team just to have a left-footed player to cover and support. We do need a centre back. Do you feel we need a centre mid, or do you feel that's a luxury that we're going for, and could that impact on us maybe upgrading in the front three, or can we do it all, do you think?
Well, you'd love to do it all, but if you were prioritising, I think you're kind of looking at maybe attacker, centre half, and then midfield in that order. But obviously, if Thiago is available, I think you go and get him, because watching him in the final last week against PSG, he was one of the best players on the pitch. Gives you something different. See, the season we're heading into is just going to be unknown territory, because short turnaround, no crowds at the games. I know bit by bit crowds will start coming back, but you're not going to get that raucous Anfield atmosphere that the Klopp success has been built on. And there's going to be such a quick turnaround in games that the midfield area is the engine room, where you know, he's not going to change too much in terms of the front three, but he's going to keep rotating, I think, in that midfield three. And that's why I think Thiago is a nice little bonus to put in there. We've been saying it for a couple of years now, expecting big things from Naby Keita. You see glimpses and you rub your hands at the prospects of what Keita can do, but then he kind of seems to go one step forward, two steps back. So I don't know if you can fully trust him just yet. Obviously Henderson will be back in. If Thiago comes in, he doesn't have to play every game. I personally think Oxlade-Chamberlain, the best game he's played for Liverpool was that Atletico game. He played in that midfield three. I don't really like him playing in the front three. And then if you're looking at a centre half, obviously Fabinho can be used as a cover. Don't forget he played there against Bayern Munich in the 0-0 draw at Anfield when Van Dijk was suspended. So if they didn't sign anyone else, I still think Liverpool will be in good shape. But it's funny just how the transfer windows now, it's almost as if awards are handed out for how you do in a transfer window. The perception out there that if you didn't buy anyone, that, you know, you're doomed to failure. If you drop a few points early on, then straight away they question you. I think some of the rivals are going to find that out soon enough as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a very good point. It's so many people are focused on winning transfer windows and ignoring the success we're having on the field. It's a crazy time, you know. I'm sure if Twitter was around 30 years ago, it probably would have been the same. But my God, it's a cesspit at the moment for fans. Stro, do you echo what the lads are saying there, or what's your take on how Liverpool will approach the transfer market? Do you think they need a few more bodies, or what do you think?
I think we definitely need to go out and get Thiago if available. Similar to what you said, because if you look at Thiago as a player, he's something we've not got, and it's something we've not had for a while. Someone who can pick the lock of a defence, he can control the game, control the pace of the game, can dictate it. I mean, you look at the PSG game, for example, and you look at the semi-final as well against Barca. He ran things with his eyes closed. And going back to Barcelona, he was the heir to Xavi, and he was the next big thing there. And for me, he's a generational player, and if he's available, whether it's 25 million, 30 million, I just think going into the season, like you said, because of the unknown and stuff like that, I think we do need to go out and get him, because, listen, the teams in and around us are going to strengthen. But it's funny we're talking about the whole, people are now winning trophies for the best transfer windows and stuff like that. Who did we sign last season? Sepp van der Berg? Who else?
Harvey Elliott and Adrian, yeah.
And that's what I mean. And funny enough, the season before we finished 1 point high, and every single rival fans, United fans around Manchester, City fans around Manchester, Evertonians were like, "Oh, you aren't going to do anything because you've not signed anyone." Blew that out of the water, didn't we? So it's hard. At the end of the day, you look at what FSG have done, you look at what Edwards and Klopp's doing, is whatever they decide to do, 100% trust, because exactly what they do. The club's in the best position I've ever seen it in my time, regards to how it's run top to bottom. So, yeah, would it be nice to get a few people in? Yeah. If we don't get a few people in, am I concerned? No, because I trust the process, and look at what Klopp's done for the past few years. So it's hard not to trust what he's going to do.
That's very true. It's very true. You know, people lose sight of the work that Liverpool, FSG, Michael Edwards, the whole lot of them have done to transform Liverpool. You know, Klopp gets all the credit, and rightly so, because he's a unique manager. And without Klopp, you know, the FSG model isn't as successful as it is currently. But it is it's the club as a whole from top to bottom are going in the right direction. And there's that old saying, that Gav says it quite regularly. You build from a position of strength and you strengthen when you're there. That's the old way of doing things. It's the way Alex Ferguson used to do it at United all the time. But Klopp likes a small squad. He likes a familiar squad. And you're going to come back to you. Do you think Liverpool are the exception to that rule? Like, if Liverpool go into the season with just Tsimikas, let's say, would you think that it's enough for the season ahead, or do you think they just need to freshen up a lot of miles and legs of players? Do you think there's a need to freshen her up a bit?
Not necessarily. I think last season, as we said, they didn't really make any significant signings. Minamino came in January, which strengthened us. We started to see a little bit of Naby Keita. I don't like using the term like a new signing, but if you have players like Minamino and Keita all of a sudden up to speed, they effectively are brand new signings. They're players you can come in and you can trust a lot more to do a job, whether that's Minamino coming in and giving Bobby a break and offering something a little bit different. And Brewster hitting a bit of form when he was on loan. Like, I think we're probably a little bit stronger going into the season, maybe with the loss of Lovren. I know he's not a fan's favourite, but we probably do need a centre-back to replace him. But no, not necessarily. I think the squad is peaking and it doesn't... We're not crying out for anyone, okay? If you were to identify any position in our strongest 11, which is weakest, and I'm a big fan of Wijnaldum, but that's probably where it is. If Klopp wanted to try something different, mix it up a little bit, Thiago would certainly make us stronger. But I think what we have there at the moment, and adding the centre back just for cover, we'd be favourites to win the league again, no matter what City do. And I'm talking about Messi there as well.
Very true, very true. We're getting overlooked again. City, even before the Messi thing's blown up, City were installed as the favourites to win the league again. Liverpool, I think that suits down to the ground. Phil, I want to come on to you again. It's a well-known at this point that FSG have a policy that they sell to buy, and people can look at that as a huge negative. When you're selling Suarez or you're selling Sterling. But over the last few years, we've sold well. We've sold squad players well, and we've sold Coutinho well and replaced him well. Is there something that concerns you that Liverpool do rely on sales before they'll do business, or is it just the way it is and you have to accept it and that's the way they operate?
It's something that concerns me in the future, because you mentioned a word there with Klopp, unique, and I think the model works with Klopp because Klopp is just a breath of fresh air. He gets the best out of players, even players that he signs. He turns them into even better players. Now, unfortunately, Klopp isn't going to be at Liverpool forever, and when he does leave, if FSG are still there and they try and use the same model, is another manager going to be able to win trophies the way Klopp has? I'm not so sure about that. So, look, the way Liverpool are going, gradually they're obviously a huge club even before Klopp came in, but they're just getting bigger and bigger commercially. Obviously, the Nike deal has come in as well. So who knows? By the time Klopp leaves, they could be in a different position where they don't have to do that anymore, where they can go out and spend cash. I'm not saying they go out and do what Chelsea or Manchester City are doing, but they don't have to sell players. Obviously, Coutinho was the big sale. It was the game changer of a sale for Klopp, given that it financed Alisson and Van Dijk. And if they've done well in selling certain players, obviously Bournemouth, they're no longer in the Premier League, so that's kind of
unfortunately.
I know they were nailed on to pay 25 million for Harry Wilson, but not going to be the case. But yeah, no, I would be slightly concerned in the future. I said Klopp papers over a lot of cracks because he's just one of the best coaches Liverpool have had, and definitely deserves to be mentioned in the same sentence as some of the greats of the club. So yeah, you can see where the frustration comes from. But see, again, people are looking, they're jealous of Chelsea buying all these players, but buying all these players doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win trophies, because Frank Lampard's after buying all these players. Can he gel them all in together? Liverpool have a winning team at the moment. I personally would like to see them get somebody to cover the front three, because if the lads aren't there, if Salah, Mane or Firmino aren't playing, Minamino, I've high hopes for him. It's funny how he obviously came in January, he looked a little bit off, but he's come into a club that is so much bigger than Salzburg. I think it was quite clear when he played, he looked nervous, he looked a little bit off it. Probably didn't feel like he was part of the squad either. And that was kind of evident the night they won the trophy and they were getting the medals because, he was a Johnny come lately. And, that's nothing against him. That's just the way it worked out. But the beauty of it is now that he should be able to hit the ground running. We already saw a bit of what he can do in the preseason games. He looks a bit sharper. We know his best position is in the centre. But I would just like to see that, if Liverpool need a goal with half an hour to go and the front three are on, who are you going to spring off the bench to get you that goal that you might need? Is Brewster even going to be there? There's talk of him going out on loan to a Premier League club, Sheffield United, or a club that have been mentioned. Maybe that's what Klopp wants to see. He's had a look at him in the Championship, scored goals for Swansea. Now he's thinking, let's have a look at him in the Premier League before we make a call on him. And Divock Origi, he's going to go down as a cult hero, but I kind of felt they should have cashed in on him at the end of the Champions League winning season when his stock was highest.
I agree with that. It's something I've said on this show. I certainly think he was at peak value then, and while he hasn't kicked on really from then, and it's a tough one because he is a cult hero, and he'll always be remembered for Everton games and getting the goal in the Champions League final. But he's one that the rumours are around they might look to replace. Now, if it was a thing, Stro, will come to you, if it was a thing that Liverpool were looking to replace, let's say, Divock Origi and Shaqiri, for example, they'd have to bring someone into that front three, wouldn't they, to back up what's already there? They couldn't go with Harvey Elliott, Minamino, and is that it? Minamino, Harvey Elliott and Brewster. Yeah, it'd be a big ask.
Yeah, a very big ask, especially for Harvey Elliott, because he's still developing. You can tell whenever he steps onto the pitch, he's got the raw talent, but he just needs holding a bit. The difference between him and Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones now looks like he's ready to challenge for that midfield spot. It looks like he's ready. He's grown in stature. He's been in and around the first team. The likes of Henderson, who's just an ultimate leader on and off the pitches, has really helped him in. I think if Harvey Elliott another 12 months and his development will come leaps and bounds, but to throw him in when we're defending a title and as the one who's going to be backing up, I just think it's far too early for him.
It is. He's still, what's he, 17? He's still very, very young to be relying on. Now, one thing that I would think could happen, Andy, I'll come back to you. I could see a situation where Oxlade-Chamberlain gets used in the front three. I don't like that. I don't think it suits him. I don't think it suits us. But I think that could be something, if Liverpool were to bring in Thiago, that they may look at Oxlade-Chamberlain as an option in that front three. Is it something you could see happening?
Yeah, I could certainly see it happening, but like you say, I just don't fancy him there. I think he's played his best football for us, kind of in behind Bobby, but overlapping some really good performances 2 seasons ago there. I can't see it happening, but it's not something I'm really in favour of. I think the whole Thiago thing is just so dependent on what happens with Wijnaldum. But even if Wijnaldum stayed for another season to run out his contract, we could still bring in Thiago, and there's enough minutes there for everybody. But I mean, just on the point there, and I'm reading the comments as well about this jealousy that exists. Other teams are signing. Like, you have to remember, United spent about 200 million last summer, and they finished in the exact same amount of points. Yeah. And Chelsea are doing a lot of business, but they've an awful lot of points. They've a huge bridge a huge gap to bridge. You're talking about 30, 35 points between us and them. What sort of a gap are we bridging between 99 points and 106 points? Yeah. I mean, you know, when you're at the top, I understand you need to make signings as well. But this team are peaking, by bringing in too many players, you can disrupt things. Like most teams out there are making signings out of desperation, and you see Arsenal trying to do business as well. And one of the comments is there, FSG make it sound like we're asking to spend 200 million. I mean, FSG aren't making out anything. You know, all of this stuff is generated on Twitter. FSG have shown, and if you look at their financial highlights every single year, the money is always reinvested in the team. Yeah. And lately, they're in the club. So, you know, we're talking about infrastructure, developing the stand, the training ground, wages, big contracts. A lot of players are on massive incentives from performance, and that all has to be paid out. So they're not scrimping. Every single penny that comes in from all these massive sponsorship deals is reinvested. So people just need to hold on to their trousers a little bit. The strategy is working at the moment, and down the line, okay, without Klopp, things might need to be revisited. But just as the lads and the laptops identifying new players to replace, there's succession planning there for Klopp. People need to stop worrying about 4 or 5 seasons down the line. Right now, Liverpool are champions and they have a squad to win that league again. And with 1 or 2 changes and 1 or 2 tweaks, Klopp knows what he's doing. We're going to win the fucking league again. Everyone needs to relax.
Very true, very true. I like your optimism, Andy. I do like your optimism. Phil, something Andy's touched on there is the squad. It's a happy squad. It's a squad that is geared to go again. But when we come back and think of Thiago, we're bringing in a midfielder, and you said earlier, you know, it's an area of the team where there can be rotation. You know, the front three is generally the front three, the back four settled, maybe the, you know, Matip and Gomez, depending who's in form, will go in or out there. But it is the middle three that sort of rotates the most, and they don't have the best injury record in there as well. So I think there could certainly be room for another body in Thiago. Now, something we've spoke about over the last few shows was that Liverpool are waiting to move players on before they do the business because of the fact that we have too many non-homegrown players in the squad. Is that something you think is an issue, and is something that's maybe driving Liverpool's thinking before they pull the trigger on any more signings, as it would weaken their negotiating position?
No, I think it's just such a well-run club at the moment, and the interesting thing is with Thiago, everyone kind of feels the Thiago deal hinges on what happens with Gini and Wijnaldum. They're both 29 now. Wijnaldum's not getting a new deal. And people would say, well, if they're not giving that 29-year-old a new deal, why are they signing another 29-year-old? But as I said, there is a big difference with Thiago and Wijnaldum. And Wijnaldum, in fairness, he's been unbelievable for Liverpool. And even, you know, when they brought in Keita, people thought that could be the end of Wijnaldum in the first team. And he just goes from strength to strength. Can't get the ball off him, comes up with big goals, an absolute fan favourite. If he did go, you know, you'd hope the fans would still sing a song. But with Thiago, the reason I think if Thiago is available, and I would agree with the lads, like you don't need wholesale changes. And you're right what Andy says about other clubs. They're throwing stuff at the wall and they're hoping enough of it sticks. Yeah. And you know, you can buy all these players, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's all going to gel. And you know, everyone's saying I even think back to the last transfer window at the start of last season. Everyone thought Spurs were going to be challenging for the league because they brought in Ndombele, who'd been brilliant for Lyon. You know, there was talk of them getting Dybala that day. They they got Ryan Sessegnon. They had a terrible season. They sacked their manager after a couple of months. So new players doesn't mean anything. But I just think Thiago just gives Liverpool something a bit different. As I said, the season's going to be, I think what's going to be very evident next season is there's going to be a lot of tight games because clubs or teams won't have the same energy because it's going to be fixtures coming thick and fast. So teams will probably sit in a bit deeper, try and play for the draw, maybe not be as adventurous. That's where someone like Thiago can unlock a defence. But I think there is just the strategy is Liverpool don't want a big squad, so it's almost like your classic busy nightclub, one in, one out, and that's kind of where the Wijnaldum and Thiago deal is kind of set at the moment. In terms of the front three, if the likes of Shaqiri, obviously Lallana's gone, Shaqiri and Origi, if they go, maybe then you see another player coming in. Someone they've mentioned who's been linked with them is Sarr. He'd be like a little brother to Sadio Mane. I think he wouldn't be a bad player because we saw the potential. Obviously, Liverpool fans know on his day how destructive he can be, but he can play in any of those positions across the front three. Blistering pace. We didn't see the best of him, but he was playing for Watford. Imagine what he'd be like playing for Liverpool.
Very true. I mean, they had 3 managerial changes through the season. You know, he's a young player coming from the French league, didn't speak English or didn't speak good English, and there's upheaval all over the place, and yet he still showed flashes of his ability, which he did in the World Cup as well for Senegal. He did look lively as well before that, so he's certainly a player that would interest us, because I think we do need a specialist that can, not a specialist, sorry, a player that can cover, you know, centrally and out wide. So Sarr would be an interesting fit. Now, I know we're all talking about Chelsea and all throwing a lot of players, different players, but one thing I want to touch on before you lads have to slope off is the Leo Messi news to Man City. Now, Stro, I'm going to come to you. Our man on the ground there in Manchester, what's the feeling over there about Messi? I heard his dad was over there having a few points yesterday with Pep Guardiola trying to get a deal done. Is there any word on City getting Messi?
Yeah, so for a lot of the people who working around the city and Manchester City,
and I'm sure that was good news.
That was a really bad time for that to happen.
That was a terrible time. Are you back with us, Stro? Are you back with us? No.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. A bit of rain in Manchester.
We'll never know.
Is that what it is? That's the thunderstorm there that Messi is creating. But is there good vibes over there for Messi at the moment, or what do you think? Is it all just talk?
City fans are convinced they're going to get him. They're absolutely convinced. They're convinced the deal's done. To be honest, if it's going to come to the Premier League, it probably is going to be City because of Pep Guardiola. But listen, it shows how far behind they are from where you need to turn to be one of the greatest players of all time to try and rebuild the gap that we built last season over him. So if Messi comes, let him come, because I still think we're going to win the league. I still think we're going to be as dominant. I still think we're going to be the team for watching. Don't get me wrong, I want to see Messi in the Premier League, but yeah, if he goes to City, it's going to be a good watch. But yeah, I still think we're going to win.
And Phil, what about yourself? What you're thinking on Messi to Man City? Do you think it's going to happen, or do you think there's a power play at Barcelona there? What's your thinking there?
It's hard to know, because I won't believe it till I see it, that he's actually playing for Manchester City. But the thoughts of Messi playing at Turf Moor, Bramall Lane, lads kicking a lump out of him. Ellen Road, yeah. Certainly, you know, it would be exciting to see him and see what he does. But, you know, you have to start. You can imagine now in 10 years, if, say, for example, City won the Champions League. Pep, you finally won the Champions League with Man City. Talk us through how you did it. Like, you know, you had to bring in Messi to do it. Like, and then obviously we know Guardiola hasn't won the Champions League without Messi and his team. And, you know, there was so many signs last season that Guardiola, as good as he's been since he came into the Premier League, that when the pressure was on, they didn't deliver. And I think it's important that if, and certainly I think it favours Liverpool, the fact that they've got a game on the opening weekend. City don't, because obviously they were in European action. But I think if Liverpool can get a head start in City and go out in front like they did last season, that's when the pressure gets to City. We've seen that's what happens to them. But I don't know. I mean, is this a power play from Messi to get rid of Bartomeu, the president? Basically, we don't know. I just can't imagine that he's been there for nearly 20 years, an absolute icon at Barcelona. You'd love to think that all he's done for Barca, that they would say, look, you can go with our blessing. But Barcelona need money, so they're not going to let him go for free. So where are City, we know, obviously have the money, but how can they finance this? You know, he can fit into the City team. You can just pretty much put him where David Silva was playing. You can basically stick him in the front three and say, just stay up there. You don't have to worry about tracking back. The rest of the lads will do it for you. But I'll believe it when I see it. And is he going to get the number 10 shirt? Is he going to say to Aguero, club legend Aguero, move over, there's a new kid in town, I'm having the number 10 jersey off you?
Well, did you see Aguero took off his Instagram Kun Aguero 10? It's just Kun Aguero now. Changed that today. So unless there's a deal, him and Aguero best mates as well, aren't they? And that's, I suppose, the link. Him and Aguero best pals. You've got Pep Guardiola, you have Chiqui Begiristain and Ferran Soriano. I mean, it is going to be City if he goes anywhere. I see tonight Bartomeu said he'll step down if Messi will stay, but he wants Messi to publicly declare that he'll stay. There's power plays all over the place. And this is what I initially thought was going to be happening there was Messi will just push to get rid of Bartomeu, but it's looking more and more like a transfer to Man City is on the cards. But it'll be interesting to see how they skirt around the financial fair play element of this, because you're right, Barcelona aren't going to want to give him away. It's going to be serious money. And before I let the lads leave, Andy, I'll just get your thoughts on it. How are they going to get that through how are they going to get that one under the door?
Yeah, like the eye is on them. Like, I know they got off on a technicality, but they're still guilty, and there's going to be people in UEFA who want to nail them. And I think it's one of those. It will definitely happen if Messi was somehow able to do that clause. Yeah. If it's a case where City have to pay 250 million, 300 million, then maybe it could be done through their other, their New York City team. Maybe they buy him and he gets loaned to Manchester City for 2 years. That'd be a right two fingers up to UEFA and financial fair play. Something like that, you never know, could happen. Part of me would like to see him in the Premier League. Part of me would like to see him going to Turf Moor and getting the shit kicked out of him. I mean, sun, sea and sand all over Spain is a little bit different than piss wind and snow and hail all over. I'm living in Manchester. It just doesn't seem realistic. Yeah, and I'd love to see, whether he'd have the stomach for the league. I know it's overstated how hard and physical the league is, but he wasn't too happy when Robertson gave him a bit of a shove. There's worse than that in the Premier League. I mean, you look at, I know Troy Deeney got relegated, but if he was back in the league, he'd get him pregnant in 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean? If you ride them that much. So I don't know. It's a move if it happens for City to win the Champions League. I don't think it's something that automatically gets them the league back, because they scored more goals than us anyway. Yeah. And maybe having Messi in the team probably works a little bit less hard than what they've had defensively. But if it happens, it's gonna be the biggest. It's going to be the biggest sign and the biggest transfer in history of football. Regardless of how much it is, it'll be the most headlined. Most people will be watching it closer than any other move ever. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, circus nearly. Listen, we're going to continue, but I'm just going to let the lads go now. So, Stro, you seem to get Grizz's Wi-Fi connection tonight, but you stuck with us, which was great. So, thanks for giving us that time. It's a pleasure having you, and we'll get you back on soon enough, pal.
Yeah,
no worries, buddy. No worries. And Phil, thanks again for joining us. We'd like to get you back on as well if you'd be up for that. Try and get you an earlier start if we can, but we can't promise anything.
It's all right. Look, the early starts now. It'd be grand. Be all right.
Yeah, but look, it's been a pleasure having you, and thanks very much for giving us the time tonight. So thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. Cheers, lads.
Take care.
Take it easy.
Good luck. And now we're going to be joined by
lads.
Gav. Gav, how are you?
Andy. Keith.
Great to see
that's
you.
all right.
I didn't make any noise.
No, I seen that. Do you know what? It kind of took away from me night a little bit. I don't know.
No, I think it was just the lads want to be a little bit more professional, and I think we achieved that.
The comments are absolutely flying in. There's nearly 800 people watching. There's only about 250 likes, which we're not happy about.
247.
That has to hit the like button.
Where is it here?
It's over there. It's somewhere on your screen. Just
wherever
bash
it is, just smash it.
Bash it, yeah. A lot of people asking where Grizz was. Don't worry, Grizz has given us all his information today. Whenever he's not on, he gives us all his information. Says, there you go, run with it. Go ahead and do what you want. But no, it's a cracking show so far. I was enjoying listening.
Yeah, it was nice having the lads on. Like I said, it was unfortunate Stro got the Grizz broadband, but sure, what can you do? And it was good having Phil's input as well. It was going well. Now we didn't touch on too many transfers. I said I'd leave that till you came on with Grizz's notes. But we'll start talking about a few moves. We touched on one there before you came on there, Gavin. It was the one about Sarr coming in from Watford. I know Paul Gorst mentioned that one again the other day, and that seems to be the only real attacking link at the moment. What would do you think it's realistic and feasible at 40 million for Liverpool to do that?
I know Grizz and a couple of other people have said that one for them is something that they look at towards the end of the season, not the end of the season, the end of the window. I agree with that. I think the Thiago stuff has taken over from everyone, hasn't it? And the centre half still looks like a bit more of a priority. A forward player is definitely a priority because I think Origi probably goes, and Brewster's being linked away in different kind of ways, loan and possibly on a permanent deal, which I don't think will happen. But I've no issue if they want to bring in Sarr for 40 million, go ahead and do it. As Phil and Stro, and I think Ollie has probably said in the last 40 minutes, you trust the process. You know, we've signed players, and people will say to me, "Oh yeah, this is just fucking loving FSG," and because of the, it's not that. It's what you see in front of your fucking eyes. You know, you see a manager and a boardroom working together, Michael Edwards, whatever, and they work and they work and they work, and they identify people, they bring them in, they improve them, and they got them to where they are now. So the Sarr one is a bit mad. Just on the Messi thing, because I was really enjoying that. This is the biggest fucking cry for help I have ever seen from a football manager in my entire life. He's an absolute fucking shy bag, isn't he? Like he can't do it. He's wrecking his own fucking head, and now he's going to try sanction a move for Lionel Messi. They're talking 100 million plus Bernardo Silva, Jesus, and the Garcia, the centre half. Yeah, but it's absolutely fucking madness. But if they want to do it, just go ahead and do it. It doesn't bother.
200 million worth with cash and players probably there.
Yeah,
it's a £250 million deal, and then you're looking at paying him 50 million a year plus 35 million on image rights.
I mean, it's
a £500 million if they give him a 3-year deal.
Yeah, it's just bonkers. And look, you said it yourself there. You know, we're and the lads as well when they're on. We're all pretty much happy with how FSG are going about. I wouldn't be satisfied with that sort of desperation at all. Yeah. I mean, look at that commitment. If it didn't work out, and it's Messi, of course it's going to work out to an extent. But if it doesn't achieve what they're trying to achieve, you know, good players like Bernardo, Mahrez being linked, absolutely madness. And look, the people who are kicking and screaming and saying you're only FSG lovers and whatever, I don't meet them in real life. Anytime anyone comes on here and speaks, or you know, you meet someone out and about, you know, you can't go to the pub. Nobody goes on like that in real life. It always seems to be robots on Twitter. Let's get someone on who can, I don't know, make these points rationally. But I don't know. In my mind, everything's fucking fine. Convince me otherwise. You know.
But you'll still get fans that think Liverpool should be in the mix for Lionel Messi. You know, even after the numbers were after saying there, even after the figures, $500 million transfer, and people will still think, oh, well, Liverpool not doing that because they play FIFA and they play on a cheat code with unlimited transfer funds. You know, football in the real world doesn't happen like that. And Man City are not playing in the real world. You know what I mean? I know they are technically, so it's a terrible point by me, but they have a bottomless pit of money. But would it impact, like, they can't be brazen that they buy Messi, right, and swap Bernardo Silva, who was Jesus, and Eric Garcia. they're going to need more players on top of Messi, are they? Or
It doesn't matter.
Just be balls out and do that, are they?
I'm not going to get into Man City and what they need and what they don't need.
Yeah.
It's just that I want to talk about that transfer is off the charts. And listen, I think there's a lot of weight behind the fact that Messi could be just literally, and I mean this, looking for complete control of Barcelona Football Club. Genuinely, because if you have a president of a club offering to stand down, right, so they can keep this 33-year-old player, that is fucking insane. It is. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely insane. It would imagine going the other way. Imagine saying, for argument's sake, Mo Salah said he will walk away from Liverpool if they could get Monchi in because he's deadly at picking players. Imagine saying something like that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. It's absolutely off the fucking chart.
Bananas,
It's the biggest cry for help I have ever seen. He should be given helpline numbers at this stage. I mean that. It's mad.
If you're in trouble and you've nowhere else to turn, found the A-team type of thing,
it's the last throw of the dice from Pep Guardiola. It's the last throw of the dice on his Man City managerial career. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, it's time he leaves Manchester City. And it's a time they kind of part ways, because if they're going to go towards this outrageous carry on for the sake of a player that he believes, you know, he's probably telling himself now, I can't win him without him. And he's willing to sacrifice Bernardo Silva for him. It's fucking mad. I know he's the best player that's ever walked the earth, but it's absolutely insane carry on. Insane.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It's one to watch, keep an eye on, isn't it? Like I said, we only played him twice a year, so it doesn't affect us.
If you desperately need a goalkeeper, as we did, and we went out and broke the world record for a keeper and Alisson, or we broke the world record for a centre-back in Virgil, because there were two positions we needed to spend 150 million on between the two of them, then fair enough. But City don't need goals. Goals isn't going to solve fuck off them. Okay, I think it would definitely strengthen our position for winning the Champions League, which is ultimately what Pep needs to do. I think it's the hoodoo for him. If he doesn't win the Champions League again, there's going to be serious doubts over his managerial career. And if you can't win it at City with all that money at your disposal, you know, what's wrong with you? You know, look at Mancini has probably achieved as much as City as Pep has.
Yeah. It is crazy when you break it down. You know, they've got a load of trophies, but the amount of Carling Cups and FA Cups, and when you look at the draws they've got in those tournaments, to me it devalues them. You know, it really does.
Keith, they're playing a second string in those competitions that are better than most teams and that they're coming up against in the league. Like our drop off is our 23s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Their drop off it's just as strong. And okay. Let them off. Of course, you don't want your biggest rival having the best player in the world, or one of the best players in the world at this stage, 33 years of age. But I'd be intrigued, you know, to see Messi week in, week out, to watch Messi on Match of the Day every week. I would like to see it. I have to admit.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, people will be listening to this saying, "I just bitter, I just jealous," and I don't think there's really any of that. You know, I love Messi. I'd love to see Messi playing in the Premier League, and the only team he can go to is Man City. You know, and it does look like it's going to be that way. But one of the interesting things about it is this talk of New York City buying him and loaning him to Man City.
Oh, being bought as part of by the Manchester City group.
But not being bought by
Manchester City,
and no transfer by Man City, and then being loaned in to City by New York City to get around FIFA and all. But I think FIFA could put the bleeding kibosh on that. Like they could.
But the easiest thing for him to do would be to buy out his contract. Buy out his contract, be a free agent, and sign for City for free.
Yeah,
that's the easiest way to do it. But it's still costing you a fucking shitload of money. But Chris Brack says there's 298 likes and 819.
Gone over the 300.
Okay, so 300 and 819 in the chat. I thought we'd get to 600. 800 likes apparently guarantees Messi to Liverpool. So there you go. There's the
There you go. That's the rumour. Yeah, that's the rumour.
I don't know what's going to happen with it. It could be a case of him just storing enough for Barcelona to get exactly what he wants. And what he sees is probably the last 2 years of his career. Because I don't know. It's just mind-blowing to me. Mind-blown.
Something as well that's being said a lot is, you know, he'll never be better than Ronaldo because Ronaldo won leagues in different countries. Now, I personally think that's a lot of bollocks. I think it's the biggest myth in football. And people saying, well, Messi is going to win the league. Well, I'll tell you, there's easier leagues to go to guarantee winning it than coming to the Premier League with Liverpool chasing down Man City. So in that sense, I don't know how, as we said about Pep being nearly in the last chance saloon, like it's another nail for Messi's legacy for some people if he comes and they don't smash the arse off everything, leagues, Champions Leagues. It's a weird one. It's one to really watch.
It is when we watch with interest, I'd say.
Yeah, but ultimately we don't really give a shit what Man City do. What we do is what concerns us. Now, I know we've been linked with Christopher Ayer a lot off Celtic, and people have their own opinions. They've mixed opinions on him. The fee is being mentioned. We've spoke about with Gav during night. 5 million sounded a bit low. Some Celtic fans are taking exception to that, and they're like, "Oh no, 20 million." There's been a lot of traction on Diego Carlos.
Yeah, I wanted to put something up on the screen, but I haven't worked out how to do it, right? So I'm sorry about that. But let me just read out the last 4 followers of Diego Carlos. The last 4 people he's followed on Instagram: Liverpool Football Club, Roberto Firmino, Fabinho, and Virgil van Dijk. The news coming out, of course, tonight that apparently he's very close to signing for Liverpool. But they are his last 4 followers on Instagram, if that means anything. Andy, does that mean anything? Does that mean it's done?
Yeah, well, like it's as good as a hint as anything really these days, isn't it? But like there must be someone in the background just like that does this to take the piss. Surely Aguero changed his username or his handle on Twitter or wherever the fuck it was and took 10 out for the crack as well. You know, gets ticks like us talking.
People going. Yeah, that's the game.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, he could have went and followed one player, and then he got loads of suggestions and followed them all as well. Like,
yeah,
I followed 4 people today, and
was I one of them? You're signing for the Bosco.
Yeah, I might follow a load of the Anfield rap or AI or something, and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. Put loads of sirens beside it. Put 3 sirens beside your username on Instagram, and then follow a load of lads from the Anfield Index.
I'm going for the EPL Index.
Oh, is that where you're going?
Yeah.
All right. I heard they pay well.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, excellent. LFC Gamer throws a comment in there that Diego Carlos is another Skirtle. Yeah, did anyone watch much of him? Did you see him in the Europa League final? He looks a bit of a head case.
I haven't. I don't know. I told you I don't watch a hell of a lot of foreign football, as your dad would call it. But no, I've seen a little bit of him. And I have heard things like I heard that he's really, really well liked by Liverpool apparently, and was strongly linked before the whole COVID messing. But I did watch the Europa League final, and I did think he was a bit rash. I have to be honest with you. I think he jumped in a little bit. But having said that, how many players have we looked at before they've been to Liverpool and thought, what can he do? Like, I never knew Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain could shoot before he turned up at Liverpool because he was taught to pass the ball in the net by Wenger. So it's one of those. It's one of those where, again, you have to trust the process. He is highly rated. There's been a couple of teams after him, and we'll just have to wait and see. What sort of money are we looking at there, Keith?
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know. The buyout clause was something like 70 million. Now, that was a buyout clause. I don't think they're really worth a shite now since COVID has happened, because I think teams are just desperate to get money in. You look at Valencia are giving players away nearly, except to Leeds, who they charge 40 million for Marine or for Rodrigo. But
60
the Spanish
million
team,
quid?
That was the buyout. Yeah, that was his buyout, 70 million euro. 60 million pounds.
To get him for half that.
Yeah, so I think it could be got for a lot less. Now, whether it's something Liverpool will do, I don't know how old he is. I thought he was about 26, but maybe
27.
younger. 27. Jesus, it's a It's a lot of money for a 27-year-old. It doesn't
Fucking
really...
hell, Andy's like the head scout here. Go on.
He is a lot of
Chief
I
scout.
told you. I have Grizz's notes.
There you go.
Your microphone nearly fell. Sorry.
That number 27 isn't his age. That's the when he's ringing his order in. Give us a couple of 27s there.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. If Liverpool are obviously looking at centre backs.
Yeah.
Ben White. The news of Ben White came out. That his agent was flirting yesterday on Sky Sports, and he pulled the rug under from everyone. It looks like he's signing a contract extension.
Gutted over that.
Yeah, but
Big lad.
It's one that Liverpool, they need a centre back cover. I think we all agree they need a centre back cover or a Diego Carlos. But it's all going to depend on the fee, isn't it? I mean, £60 million. They're not paying that surely for a centre back, whether he's a first choice or not at that age.
Well, apparently the word coming out is that he's the quote I seen earlier from whoever broke the news was Jurgen Klopp sees him as the perfect partner for Virgil van Dijk. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's just thrown in for.
When would Klopp have said that?
On the Zoom calls to Timo Werner.
Yeah, it was part of the Timo Werner sales pitch, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. It's you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know if it's reliable. But I have to put my hand up now and say, and I don't know if you agree, I can't see that happening if you're talking anywhere north of 20 million quid.
No, I can't see us spending that money on a centre back either. I think
no, especially when Gomez, no matter what, is probably going to be our first choice partner for.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it's going to be a player that'll come in there that will be the likes of an AR, whatever his name is, a young centre back that can come in and maybe grow and can develop into maybe the first reserve centre back. I can't see them doing it on, when Koulibaly was linked, he was too old to pay the money. So surely Carlos for that money is going to be a bit much as well. I think there'll be a few linked that'll be all pie in the sky, but will they all start following Liverpool players on Instagram? I don't know. I think that's the key bit to this whole deal. I think we're basing our whole opinion on Diego Carlos on this Instagram, which is the right thing to do, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
How else would you do it? Someone pointed out that Jules Koundé is a better centre-back at Sevilla. Jules Koundé is a cracking centre-back, but I think Real Madrid are looking at him. I think he's one that Madrid would like to have. So there's a lot of players in Spain. Spain now at the moment are suffering, obviously, with the corona, the COVID situation there. Their players are, they're getting scalped for their players. It's Valencia. Someone mentioned Guedes there in the chat as well from Valencia to Liverpool. Again, I think you can get anyone from Valencia. I think every one of them is up for sale. It'll be interesting to see if Liverpool look at something like that. I don't think it's a position he's a winger or a forward. I don't think it's one that we will pursue myself unless we got him for free. But is there any other links? I want to talk to you about one that came out today, and it's Sadio Mane to Barcelona.
Oh, stop it.
I know. Andy, I'll come to you. Sadio Mane to Barcelona. He's been offered apparently to Barcelona. I don't know who was offering him. Like, have you read anything about this? Is there anything in this?
I'll give the same answer as Gav. Stop it. That's the answer. Stop it. Sadio Mane hasn't been offered to anyone by anybody.
Yeah.
Sadio Mane loves Liverpool. Sadio Mane wants to stay at Liverpool more than you want Sadio Mane to stay. He's not going anywhere. None of them are going anywhere. It's great. I don't know who reports this shit. We're in such a unique position where we don't have to worry about our top players going anywhere.
Yeah.
The only reason our top players go anywhere is if we, for some reason, have to sell
them. Yeah. Or the likes of the Wijnaldum one, his contract running down, he didn't accept the one, we'll move on.
It's like Flash Gordon says in the chat there, pointless talking about a fake news. Why in the name, look at what's going on at Barcelona, right? Yeah. And we've discussed it already. Messi's looking to get out. He's looking to get some sort of clause that he thought he had, but expired. He's trying to get that overturned, right? You have a president that's willing to walk away from Messi, and then Messi's going to leave. They've thrown out a load of players, including Luis Suarez. And you think anyone worth their salt is going to turn around and go, I think Barcelona's the place for me, lads. Yeah. Barcelona are self-combusting right now in front of your eyes. There is not a fucking hope. Plus, if Barcelona sell Messi for the equivalent of 250 million quid, Liverpool will turn around and go, we want 250 million quid.
Yeah,
you know, it's Barcelona are falling apart at the seams, and to link anybody to that at the moment is just mad. Like Messi causes, like I said on the show the other night, Messi is hindering them. He is hindering them financially because he gets so much image rights. He gets 50 million quid a year, right? He gets so much image rights, right? He brings a lot in, but 50 million quid a year just on wages is a hindrance to you, regardless of what way you look at it. But he leaves, nobody wants to go there. They'll burn the fucking place down if he leaves. Sadio Mane, I don't think, I know he likes helping charities, but there's no way Sadio Mane is turning up at the new camp to try rebuild the place when it's raised to the ground. It's ridiculous to even talk about it.
Yeah. The number 10 jersey will be available for him, so maybe it's appealing to him, you know, that his number will be there. So, you know, stranger things have happened.
It's a non-story for me. You know, if you said PSG to me, I'd give it more credence. But Barcelona right now, they're falling apart in front of your eyes. Don't be worrying about them.
Yeah, he wasn't offered to PSG, but he was offered to Barcelona by someone. So, you know, we have to go on who the offer was made to, which, you know, was interesting. I didn't think Liverpool would be offering, but however. Digger through red throwing a comment that Juve wants Suarez and Suarez wants 25 million compensation from Barca. Like, it's an absolute shit show that's going on there. You know,
but what's
he
left
not going to America?
He was meant to be going to Ajax as well. People have linked us with us. I can't see it happening, but what's left on Luis Suarez's contract?
I don't know.
I would have thought a year.
I don't know if he extended when he went there. He could have more, but you know, if they're ripping up his contract, there mustn't be too much on it.
Yeah,
you know,
1 year left.
1 year, yeah, must be 1 year. Yeah, strange. You surely.
Sorry, Kieran Torres saying 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. He must be entitled to something then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless there's something in the contracts where they can cancel contracts when they're in serious financial problems.
Yeah, sure. Remember, Blade and Suarez tried to leave us, and we laughed in their face about a release clause that they thought they had.
Oh, they did have
the jog on. Yeah, they did have, and we just said no,
we don't.
Doesn't work over here. That's not in there. In Barcelona are putting bleeding termination clauses in all their contracts and all.
Isn't it crazy? Like that Messi would actually have a clause that could be activated at the end of any season that he could move for free.
For free. It's
outrageous. The talk of that was because he wanted to go back to Newell's Old Boys.
Yeah.
In Argentina, when he felt this all came around because what happened was he came out and said he wanted to go back to Newell's Old Boys and finish. And I think Messi probably looked and went, when I'm not at my peak anymore or I'm on the way down, he'll walk away. So he'd walk away and he'd give his latter years to Newell's Old Boys. I think that's what was part of it. But now. Yeah.
So why didn't you just say free to Newell's Old Boys when I'm done and dusted?
I don't know. I don't know. But
maybe
obviously,
that's what it was. And he's rummaging through his glove box in his car trying to find this fucking clause, to see what it actually said. I don't know. Yeah,
all he has is the logbook in there. He can't find the clause.
Yeah, I'm nearly sure he put that stamp on that.
David Hornby keeps saying John 4:20 quote. Is that from the Bible? I don't know.
Where does it say that?
He just it's gone. It's disappeared. It'll come up again. He's typed in a couple of times. There. I don't know. I don't know if David Hornby's trying to teach us or.
Yeah, let us know. Louis still got a little.
Oh,
don't
now
know
he
if it
says a little bit
refers
of
to
biting
this.
him. I don't know what's going on. But
Don't know. I'm not up on the Bible.
he's
John
apparently
420.
he's
whoever-
having a smoke. He's having a smoke. Apparently, to David Hornby. So we can disregard it. And David, you enjoy your smoke, whatever it may be in that. Fair
Can I
enough.
give you this one? Can I
Yeah,
give you
go on.
420, John? Whoever claims to love God, hates a brother or sister is a liar. Whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. That is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a bit mad, isn't it?
Carry on. Yeah.
Theology and all you get here, like it's what a podcast we are.
Yeah.
Where else do you get Bible verses?
It's unbelievable. Nageb asks, is Grizz coming on? No, we have all his news. Don't worry about it. You don't need him
Yeah.
on. We have it.
Yeah, who needs them?
What's next?
First up, Ovia Jardia to Reading, 3.5 million. Cha-ching. Put that into the kitty.
Yep.
Anyone sad to see him go?
Yeah, no, he's 28 now, so
That's it. Get him out before he's due his testimonial. FSG don't want to be paying for that. But it's 3.5 million into the coffers, you know. So it's the fringe players like this can bring in big bucks when you add it all together, you know. So it's another one to, you know, people will still say we're skint. We're not skint. We're just doing things maybe a little bit different this year. But
Ajari is one of those transfers that if it happened last season, you just go, we wouldn't even be talking about it. But you have to talk about every transfer now because for some reason everyone thinks every 2 million here and 3 million there is making a massive difference. It's not. It's not. It's simply not. It's not. You know what I mean? Keith, it's not. Your Liverpool's transfer strategy does not hinge on 3 million quid for Ovia Jardia. It doesn't. Simple as that.
As Ramez Khalil says, that's 13.5% of the Thiago fee. So I think you'll find
That's fucking
that
ridiculous.
every penny
Yeah.
counts.
But we don't get it all up front, Ramez. So you're going to need to go back and work out what we get up front and what's paid in installments. But listen, in real terms, 3.5 million goes into the kitty. But it's not something we go, we got. If we can just get that 3.5 million for a Jardia, we can go and do this. You know, it's not.
It's all hinging.
He was never going to make it at Liverpool. He went off. He was at Rangers. I think he was at Reading, then Rangers, then Reading.
Yeah.
I think it went that way. And it's a nothing transfer, to be perfectly honest with you. But wish him the best of luck. But it just wasn't going to happen for him at Liverpool.
A few in the chat are saying there that Ryan Kent is signed for Leeds, which would be a little dropsy for Liverpool if that's the case.
I think 10% is what we get. So I don't know how much he signed for.
Hopefully it's in around the 40 or 50 million mark. That'd be nice.
Well, I think he went to Rangers for about 8, didn't he? So
Yeah,
Rangers are probably
7 or
looking somewhere north of that 10, 12 million probably.
Yeah.
So we get
Avi is saying there that Liverpool pocket 4.5 million from the Ryan Kent sale. So
wow. So
Chris Brack is saying a 20%
26% of the way there now for.
So we're getting there.
Well, Jesus,
every
if you
little-
We could probably get there by the end.
he's
of
not
the-
gone to Leeds for 22 million, is he?
I don't know. Could be. It's a mad. They bought Rodrigo off Valencia there for something like 30 million. Fella doesn't score many goals at all. So
15 million says Dan J. So you're looking at 3 million if it's 20%. So
there you go. Better than nothing.
yeah, well,
That's
it's all
six-
adds up,
that's
doesn't it?
6.5 million there already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get there by the end of the show.
Yeah, if we get we're on 336 likes. If we get to 600 likes, we'll double that. We'll match that money and we'll push the transfer kitty up a bit.
Grujic,
sure
we can
they-
get more. We can get money there.
Yeah, there you go. You know, there's a
So
lot
it's
to
all
do.
happening. We're literally
It's all go.
we're literally funding Liverpool's transfer
There's-
policy now.
Someone has to.
Apparently, Atalanta and Milan want Grujic.
That's true. Now both are, and there's another one as well, isn't there? There's another Italian team as well. I think
They've just come. Yeah, they've just come up.
Yeah.
It's gone out of my head.
I can't think of who they are. Pontefrato or something. I don't know, but they're looking, and it's all loan. With,
Loan to buy in next year or 2 years.
Well, the problem
I
with
think-
the problem with Italians are they loan with the option to buy.
yeah,
Like
never an
Juventus
obligation.
are
Benevento,
signed.
that Anjay said Benevento.
Yeah,
they're the
there you
team,
go. Luca has said it as well. I put up there. But like if you look at the Weston McKennie deal to Juve, it's 3 million loan,
Yeah.
18 million obligation to buy if he plays 60% of Serie A games
Yeah.
this season.
So you know if he stinks the place out and he's played 57%, you'll never see Weston McKennie in a
But you also have to look at
if he
what's left
plays
on his
great.
deal.
Yeah. No, they're terrible messes over in Italy. I'm pretty sure transfers to Italy, especially loans with options to buy, are carried out in the dark web.
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah,
it's the bogiest of websites.
Yeah, it's we got scalded with Aquilani, didn't we? When
there's David P. Do you remember he kept loaning them with an obligation to buy or an option to buy? As soon as he hit the threshold,
that he had to
just never played again.
Never seen again.
And then they just took him back the following season.
Yeah, you get that in a garage by some fella in the suit claiming to be the player's agent. And
your mate Andy here, David Lennon, the Periscope Ultra has joined us on YouTube. He's back. Do you remember we called him the Periscope Ultra for 3 nights, and then we went out, he wouldn't talk to us anymore. Went down and started smashing his golf clubs around the garage and all. Went mad, he did. But he's saying Thiago and Coutinho, and he's putting loads of sirens beside it. I think he's trying to wind you up, Andy.
Andy knows what loads of sirens means.
What does 4 sirens mean, though?
I only have I do 6. I do 3 on one side and 3 on the other.
Right. Is that reverse psychology attempt by David Lennon?
I don't know what he's at. He's a messer.
Yeah, he's a bit scampy.
Them Nordies are messers and their big Nordy trains.
And our mad accents.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to hear him. What way do you reckon he says siren?
Siren.
Own book says Andy is the best top red ever. Sorry, Keith, me and Andy are taking over talk of trains. Walk away.
No, that's fine. I'm enjoying it. Gav, have you ever had a song made up about you or a poem? What was it got? What did you get, Andy? Andy the top red. Did you get
it was a video,
a video? Yeah, have you ever had that, Gav?
Was that about you?
Yeah,
me.
Yeah, was it about you? Yeah.
Yeah, every so often, like this mad FSG account with a cartoon kind of Abby just comes along, like I've never kind of harasses me for a week and then disappears. But this particular one made a video with a song and
was it good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I just told the fella like that I really appreciate it. He needs to seek help. Immediately.
Okay.
I haven't heard from him since.
Yeah, he's working on the phone.
The
difficult second album.
These guys don't exist in real life.
No.
Oh,
they don't.
They don't. Right, what have you got, Keith?
Before this descends into bleeding air fryers and diffusers and all that.
That's what we're trying to keep away from.
Rhian Brewster at the Sheffield United. What are we making of that one? Talks of a permanent move. Can we see anything doing with that, Gav?
Permanent, no. Unless they're willing to throw a mad amount of money at it, and Liverpool are able to do something along the lines of a buyback clause over the next 2 to 3 years. That's the only way I could see it working. Where if they said, look, we'll give you 25 million quid, but Liverpool can buy him back for 35 over the next 2 or 3 years and assess it that way. A loan deal, way more likely. But I'm still on the train that says he stays and he stays with this squad this season. I think there'll be opportunities for him. But again, it all comes down to I think what happens with Divock Origi with regards to Rhian Brewster.
Very true. What about you, Andy? Can you see any movement in Brewster, or do you think it's just garbage talk?
God, I think Brewster's really he's re-established himself in our minds in the last 6 months, just before COVID kicked off, and scoring so many goals on loan. And now pre-season, there's a couple of goals. He deserves a chance. Could his chance be a Premier League loan? Yeah, possibly. But there'd be nothing permanent happening with Brewster at the moment.
Yeah. it'd be an unusual one, to see anything happening there that just doesn't make any sense.
I don't think he's at that quality where they hang on to him and start really play, giving him minutes, as in starting every other game, and giving him 20 minutes every game, because you take Bobby off the pitch and the drop off there of trying to bloody the young lad in, there's so much at stake. I just think the right thing for him now was probably a Premier League loan with guarantees that he's going to start. Not one of those loans where they use him.
My only issue is if you loan him out again, it's 2 loans, and somebody says there about Jones and Harvey Elliott, I suppose, to a certain, they're not getting loaned out.
Williams,
and he could turn around and go, I'm just not valued enough here. And it goes back to the period before Borussia Mönchengladbach tried to get him, and he wanted to feel valued, and Klopp had to put an awful lot of work in apparently to keep him at the club. So if Klopp put that work in, I don't see why Brewster at the stage of his career he's at isn't worth a shot. But having said that, if he's probably worth a shot in the squad, he's in the squad the same way with Curtis Jones. No, I keep mentioning him. I don't know why. He's a first team player now. Yeah. But the other lads, Harvey Elliott and Nico Williams, he's around the squad like they are. He probably, I know that, but he probably has more claim to be around the squad and have more opportunities than Harvey Elliott and Nico Williams, all things being fair. So if you loan him out, I feel if you loan him out, he just starts to feel unappreciated and ends up turning around going, just let me go.
Not if you say you've had your championship loan, now is your Premier League loan, and we've organised this loan with Leeds, and you're gonna start 75% of games. And if you don't start 75% of games or whatever, we'll take you back in January anyway. Or, he does a half a season loan. I personally think that's what he needs. He needs to show it week in, week out at that level. I don't agree. I don't know where we're at that.
What age is he?
Phase.
He's only 20, I think.
What age is he?
See, when Liverpool.
Hold on. What age is Rhian Brewster?
We'll find him now. I think he's only 20.
Okay. I would have thought he's north of 20 anyway, 21.
Okay. And why do you feel that? Well, he is 20. So why does Rhian Brewster, after a loan at a championship club, need to show it at a Premier League on a regular basis to be included in Liverpool's squad? For me to develop him, and people have said he doesn't fit, right? But to me, I think he benefits. I think the hardest thing is convincing him to stay with the squad and showing him that he'll have limited chances, but we'll learn everything, the patterns of play, the way we play, what we expect, and playing with all these lads, training with them, I think is as beneficial as going out. That's my opinion. But I don't think he has to prove it at a Premier League side in order to justify himself to Jurgen Klopp. Because Harvey Elliott and Nico Williams haven't proved fuck all to Jurgen Klopp in the Premier League in any way, but he seems to keep them around.
Okay, right. So first of all, Elliott's 16, 17, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Brewster was at the club when he was that age too. I don't know how old Nico Williams is, but I'm going to guess 17, 18 as well.
I don't think he's 19.
All right. Anyway, look, Liverpool, when they brought in Owen and Fowler and kind of put a huge amount of faith in, they came in and they stayed in the team sort of thing. Right now, the stakes are higher. We're defending the league. You look at United there, nothing to lose by playing Greenwood every single game, and it's paid off. That Brewster needs football. He needs first team football. 20 years of age, 21 years of age. That's what he needs. And I don't think Liverpool are going to be able to do that this season. When we such a kind of a definite 11 almost, to be able to guarantee him that the minutes that he needs. And it's not worth a wank these days, really. Personally, I don't think when you come in and play against lower opposition in the Carling Cup or the Mill Cup or whatever the fuck we call it now, it's not because they make 8 or 9 changes, so they're not actually coming into the first team at all. They're just playing with the lads that they play in every other week.
But I don't.
So
Yeah,
does
but Andy, I don't think playing him for Sheffield United at this stage does anything for his development to prove anything in the Premier League, because the standard of player he's playing with in Sheffield United is miles away from what he's going to play with at Liverpool. Mason Greenwood is playing for Manchester United. He's never been out on loan. Never.
They're just the generic standard milk toast sort of team, but you know, fast young player direct can go in and play there. Play for Klopp. He needs to walk around Liverpool and train with Liverpool to learn Klopp's system and the way Klopp wants to play. I think staying is the best move for them as well.
I'm not being flippant here, but that fella Tsimikas has signed for Liverpool, right? And all the talk is how good he is. I think he looks great, but he's never proved anything. Fuck all. He hasn't played in the Premier League. And I'm not being flippant here. Do you loan him out and make him prove himself in the Premier League and bring him back? Mason Greenwood is 18 years of age and he's rated very, very highly, and he's playing football for Manchester United.
Yeah, Tsimikas has played a lot of first-team football. Okay, not in the Premier League, but he still played first-team football. It's a huge challenge for him to try and dislodge Robertson. But he's going to give it his best shot. Yeah. And the way Liverpool identify players, as you know, is it's based on their numbers. And he fits the bill and he's come in. Brewster hasn't really had the chance to demonstrate those numbers.
So when are you going to give it to him?
Well, I just think that the best thing to happen for him would be to have a Premier League loan, even if it was only 6 months.
Right. So if he gets loaned to Sheffield United and they fall on their arse next season and he's toiling away there and he gets 3 goals all season, do we write him off?
No, because his performances will be closely monitored.
Well, it's hard to perform. It's hard to perform well in a team that's on its arse. Let's be honest.
Not well, Gav. Movement, putting himself in the right places, doing the right things when he does get on the ball. He doesn't have to go to someone who's gonna give him like 60 chances across the season. He bangs away half of them. That doesn't need to happen. A player can still go away to a team that's kind of battling around mid-table or below mid-table. To prove himself. It's all about taking a chance. And we've seen players, strikers do the business at teams that are mid-table as well.
I 100% have. My only argument is that Rhian Brewster right now for me, after doing well at Swansea, and I think for me the Swansea deal was something that it got him back to a level he needed to be at because of the injury he had. He was around the squad in 18-19. And then last season he goes out for a 6-month loan. I think they were trying to get him up to speed. He's come back. He's looked good in pre-season. I don't understand how Rhian Brewster should be loaned out to prove himself to Liverpool Football Club when Nico Williams and Harvey Elliott are hanging around that squad and learning every fucking day from that squad and never get loaned out. So the argument is, if Harvey Elliott is as good as he is, I expect Harvey Elliott, all things being equal, to go out on loan and prove himself for a Premier League team before he can come back and play an airside. And that's not going to happen. I don't think it will. Maybe with Harvey Elliott, but not with Nico Williams. He signed a 5-year deal now. They're not going to send him on loan.
No, sure. Nico Williams is effectively Trent's backup now.
On what recommendation? On what proof? And I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying Nico Williams being backup is wrong. Yeah. But the comparison with Nico Williams being a 5-year deal and he's the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm not knocking the fella, to go down and look at Rhian Brewster, who's actually gone out and gone away from the club and proven himself over a 6-month period. Yeah. I just think that if you put him in that squad and elevate him slightly above Nico Williams, in my opinion, and Harvey Elliott, and say to him, listen, we do have a front three. We have got Minamino. Origi's probably out the door, but what we're going to do is we're going to have a front three and we're going to have a backup three, and you're going to be part of it. He gets chances. And trust, people say, oh, if you need a goal, do you put Brewster on? Oh, fuck him, would you? Because the chances are, if you need a chance, or if you need a goal, the ball's going to be in around the middle of the box, and he looks fucking lethal from there. And that's all you need at that age. His education, training with Salah, Mane, Firmino, and even the lads that play midfield, where to run, when to run, when to take players away. I feel he would learn so much more of how he should play for Liverpool by training with Liverpool. And I'm probably getting a bit annoyed about this, but it just frustrates me that people are people are putting Brewster in one camp and others in the other camp, when these other people have done far fucking less than Rhian Brewster. But we have to go and make Rhian Brewster prove himself over and over again.
Yeah,
and that's the problem I have.
I'm just looking at a comment there. Brewster was top goal scorer in under 17s World Cup. So was Dominic Solanke. Like, you know, he's still relatively unproven, and I would sooner see him getting 90 minutes first team football in the Premier League for a season than him to be kind of fighting for scraps. But don't forget, like, after Firmino, Origi is probably a little bit ahead of Brewster even still, and Minamino, who a lot of people have kind of tipped to play that centre position in Bobby's absence as well. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him to get the minutes he needs to properly develop. That's all I'm saying, and I think.
I think you're right. I think that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest. Sorry, Andy, go on.
A Premier League loan on the basis that he's guaranteed football. You know, there was a time when players went out on loan and the clubs just used them as squad players. But the premise now that the deal is part of your loan deal is they have to start 74% of games or whatever. And I think that would do him the world of good. You know, even just physically, just to get a taste, and he come back a better player.
Do you know something? Sorry, Keith George was being left here because me and him are arguing. But
this is fantastic.
but you know, I agree with you, Andy. I think the biggest hindrance to all this, and my idea, is convincing Rhian Brewster that, you know, it's the right thing to do to stay with us and do this. And it could be a case of Liverpool trying to say to him, look, you get this and you get that, and he's going, no, I'll tell you what, I'll go out on loan. I wouldn't loan him in the Premier League. I'm being honest with you. I'd loan him to someone like them lads. No, I think I'd loan him to someone like a Red Bull Salzburg.
Yeah, why not?
That play a pressing game, that play a fast game, and all right, they're in the Austrian league, and maybe it's not the best, but they'll be in Europe. You get European football. I think I'd go somewhere along that lines if I was loaning them out, but I'm steadfast in what I say that Rhian Brewster should stay at Liverpool this season, because I would genuinely put him on the pitch before Divock Origi every single day of the week and twice on Sundays.
I wouldn't be totally against him going abroad, because, you know, he might get to play a team that's a little bit more similar to Liverpool tactically. But you're talking about sending a young kid away as well. It could totally go tits up for him that way.
It could.
Yeah. Chris Brack saying, "Oh, look like a kid watching his parents having an argument and trying to not get involved." Great show.
I think Leeds could be a really good option for him. I don't know what Leeds' situation is with strikers, but
yeah, Bamford. They're after buying Rodrigo off Valencia for 40 million, so I think they're
probably unlikely. That
I know. Shawnee is dead against the Leeds thing. I think it was Shawnee says to me the other day. He was dead against the Leeds thing. There was a reason. If Shawnee's watching, he might type it in there. Paul Hardwick feels that Brewster is going to Leeds on loan 100%.
Eddie Nketiah went to Leeds and he was in and out of the team. Bamford was getting in ahead of him all the time. I think Bielsa probably prefers to have a bigger target man up front and build his wide players around it. I don't know if Brewster would really fit. I think Origi would be a better fit there than Brewster. And the interesting one for me, if he was getting a Premier League loan, would be somewhere like Brighton, because Graham Potter plays interesting football. I mean, he's not going to go to a top team because he won't get the minutes, so it's going to be a struggling team. I don't know how much of a benefit that'd be, but, you know, somewhere like Brighton where he might get into the team and might get the minutes would be interesting. But it's very important that if wherever he goes, he plays, because if he doesn't play, he might as well be at Liverpool learning on the training ground. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I think you're right, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah.
Has anyone got any Thiago news before we wrap up?
90% the one.
Only 90? I was hoping for a bit more. Is that what Grizz said?
It's what I told Grizz to say tonight.
You told Grizz to say, yeah.
We feel like we have the handbrake on here, because all this stuff, bid's gone in now and there's this amount of parts and stuff like that. We told you this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We told you this 2 weeks ago. We told you that Bayern wanted 30, Liverpool were offering 22 plus 4. We said this 2 weeks ago.
We said that the Champions League would play out before that and start moving.
Yeah. Do you know something? It's, for me, I think the biggest telling point in all this was Klopp asked about it. And when Klopp was asked about it, he could have just said, look, that's not happening. Will you go away and stop? And he's not. He's turning around and saying, you don't know what to do, and you have to check this stuff 5 times and stuff like that. And I feel it's a delay.
He was asked 6 weeks ago.
No, this was asked. He was asked yesterday, the day before.
Right. Okay.
He was asked
because when he was asked 6 weeks ago, it was a very telling response as well. He didn't deny it at all. And normally Klopp is great at playing down a rumour.
Yeah, it's look, from what I took from was, like, if Liverpool have no interest in Thiago, and he's asked that question, he should just go, that's not happening. I don't know where that's come from. End of fucking story. He just puts it to bed, but he didn't. He turns around and he says, you know, we have to check with what's going on with COVID. We have to check what's going on. It's the delaying tactic. And the lads on Shawnee and Grizz have spoken about it on this show as well. The player quota we have when you put the squad together for the Premier League, you have to have so many homegrown players, so many foreign players, and Liverpool
8 homegrown players in a squad of 25.
Yeah, so Liverpool are looking, I think, to turn around and say, right, listen, we need to get rid of A, B, or C, and when we get rid of A, B, or C, we then turn around and we bring in Thiago. I flipped on this so many times, but the Klopp quotes are quite telling for me. And yeah, I think it happens. I think it happens. But the whole talk of the 28 million apart and stuff like that, this was said on this show weeks ago. So right now, I think we're a bit behind it when it comes to this Thiago news. But as it stands right now, I'm with Andy. I think it's more or less done, and the only thing delaying it is Liverpool just getting their house in order. Like, I seen someone else saying there that they should splash the money on getting a bit sick of it. I don't know who it was said it, but you don't do that, because if Liverpool come out and sign Thiago, then players, they know they need to get rid of someone, other squads, and or other clubs, and they come in and go, well, Grujic was at 15 and now we're only giving 10. Do you know what I mean?
People are going rasher about the delay, Gav. You know, there hasn't been a delay. The fella's season only finished at the weekend, and now he's probably having a little bit of a holiday. Is he not entitled to have a little bit of a break before he comes and does a medical even? No one's going to be announced till he's on a plane doing.
Well, that's the thing. Tony Kelly says this is the same news as last week. Boring. No, you see, Tony, we gave you this stuff last week, and now this news is coming out today. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Thiago was preparing to play in the Champions League final this time last week. So how could anything have possibly moved on since then?
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you look back, like the stuff that's coming out has been mentioned on here. You know, we take a lot of stick. We're not Nostradamus or anything here predicting the future. You hear things, you put it out there, and it's what's happening. You know, we said it'd be after the Champions League. We said it'd be, you know, Liverpool are offering this figure, Bayern want that figure. They'll meet somewhere in the middle. All the talk of this, there's too much smoke, I think, here. We've said it in the other shows. There's no other club seriously linked with them. It's Liverpool, and you're right, Gav. Liverpool aren't going to weaken themselves by just bringing them in and then having to take losses on Grujic, on Shaqiri, even on the likes of Carragher. You know what I mean? Like, they need to get rid of non-homegrown player to bring in another non-homegrown player, and that's what they're doing. We'll wait and see. I think it's a done deal myself, but you know, if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it either. By the way, you know, so we're not hanging our hats on Thiago signing for Liverpool. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, you know, we move on. Yeah, it's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't think it move on. I think it will happen. I think everything. I think everyone, or everything that's going on with regards to this. Someone asked there, what's the news today? If you look up certain publications there, they're starting to report that a deal is close. The clubs are a little bit apart with regards to the valuation. Now, this was always going to happen this week. You know what I mean? It was always going to happen this week because of the Champions League and clubs. You know, Bayern Munich win it. Bayern Munich win the fucking Champions League on Sunday. They're not interested in talking to Liverpool on Monday morning about Thiago. You know, give us a couple of days, lads. We're on the lash. That's it. You know, and that's as simple as I can put it. Let me see. Maverick says, let's give this Thiago stuff a rest. What about other signings we need? Well, we've gone through a few of them. Maverick.
There's not many links, There's Liverpool are not going to do a lot of signings, Maverick. I'm sure Gav and Andy probably agree. We needed a left-footed left back. We've done that, right? People forget we've done that. That's a big hole filled in our squad. We need a centre back. I think we will do that as well. But we're doing Thiago first. I think everything stops for Thiago. Then we'll see a centre back. And as Gav touched on earlier, an attacker like Sarr, maybe at the end of the window we'll see movement like that, if anything. Because my opinion on that is we're not going to buy an attacker. My opinion on that is if Jadon Sancho doesn't move to Man United, we won't buy an attacker in this window.
He does move to Manchester United.
Yeah, I know that. Same Messi does move to Man City, and Thiago does move to Liverpool. But if these things don't happen, Gavin.
No. Jadon Sancho goes to Manchester United. They can't lose that much face over the transfer.
I heard that tied up in Mykonos on court cases and all that.
Yeah, well, listen, Harry Maguire's doing interviews now saying he won't apologise.
He feared for his life, apparently.
Yeah, he feared for his life, and if he just apologises, he's off the hook. But he said he's not, so that's the crack, isn't it? But that's all I have. People have asked what was Grizz's news. I just spoke to Grizz today about Thiago. We're always talking about it. Grizz just turned around and said, Gav, listen, the last thing I told you 2 weeks ago was that, and that's what's coming out now. And he just turned around and said he still firmly believes it will absolutely happen. I've seen something else saying there's been a 10-day limit put on it. I don't believe that for a second either. But on Sancho, I think I think they're absolutely definitely going to get Sancho. They can't walk away from that deal now. They really can't, because they've been quoted 120 million for Sancho, and any other target they go now will be a case of, well, you had 100 for him, so we want something close to 100 for their player now, regardless of who they go for. So we'll have to wait and see.
One of the things Grizz said is, if you're reading, a lot of the journalists are starting to come out with the stuff that we've said, but we've been steadfast in our opinions about with regards to the Thiago news, and we've now got a lot of the Liverpool-based journalists that are starting to drip out that Liverpool are interested, whereas last week Liverpool weren't interested. It wasn't a position they were going for. Now they're starting to come around and they're saying the same sort of things, so it'll be very interesting, when a bid goes in and we start to see movement on it. I think it'll happen. It'll be a Fabinho job. It'll just be a picture of him in the Liverpool kit done there and then. It'll be very quickly done. Won't be dragged out.
No, I don't think so either.
We're at 382 likes. If anyone wants to rattle up there and get us near that 400 before we finish up, we're close to. We don't think we'll make 600, Gav, but we could do 400 if people just hit that 776.
Did we not do 500 and something?
We done 500 and something the other night.
Yeah, and there was the same amount of people watching. So
yeah,
I don't know what the crack is. Maybe just hit the like button before. Maybe people don't like going out and hitting like and coming back in. I don't know when they're in the live chat, but I don't. Yeah. Maybe just hit the like button before you come in, even if we just come on and talk about how long you should cook chips for. Usually that's what happens when Andy's here. The 2 dislikes is normal.
Chris put the mockers on us because we've now got 3.
It's gone up to 3. Someone will take that ball back. So it.
People don't like when we look for likes. We always get a rush on the thumbs down when we mention. We're over 402 likes now. So
it's a little bit more respectable. That's it.
But look, I think we'll call that a night, lads. Andy, it's been a pleasure having you for this hour and a half, torturous hour and a half that you've had to stick with us on transfers. Thank you very much for joining us. Looking smart, looking dapper. I
love the way he turned his camera off and then just made loads of noise in his kitchen. Like, you know what I mean? And then come back. Why didn't he just mute himself and walk off?
Yeah, when you stop your cam, does not make you go on mute now?
No.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. Lesson learned. Learned.
Look, I had to leg it in and get my charger.
For the laptop?
Yeah. 67% on your laptop apparently isn't enough to do a show that lasts an hour and 33 minutes.
Okay. There you go. Again, another lesson learned. That's what we offer advice. So anyone listening, there you go, 67% danger zone. Gav, thank you very much for jumping in there an hour ago. Seems like we're only jumping in for the end of it.
Yeah, I said I'd jump in for the second half, and it turns out I jumped in for 2/3. But Kieran Thorne says, Daytrippers, please plug Jamie Webster's album. That album is out. I think it's gone to number 1 in the iTunes charts, is it?
Is a lay on it?
Oh, don't mention football music on it.
I've seen he was I think he was tweeted there today. It was slipping out of the top 10, so people wouldn't mind. You know, an album for $4.99 is pretty good deal, isn't it?
Is that how much it is?
Yeah.
All right.
£4.99. That's if you go the traditional iTunes route, or else you could have a Spotify subscription. You could listen to his album loads on Spotify, and you'd get a cut out of that as well. So whatever way, it'd be good to support Jamie Webster.
Yeah,
I think
it's like he's a club affiliate at this stage, even though he looks to move himself away from that, which is fair enough. But support him if you can. Give his stuff a listen. It's good. I like LA. So
it's just I mean, it's a bit like Spider-Man and what's the sort of?
I don't know what's coming here now.
When he's in the office working as a journalist.
Peter Parker.
Superman.
Peter Parker. Yeah. No, that's Clark Kent.
Yeah, but he's working in the office, isn't he?
Yeah, but I prefer the Spider-Man and Peter Parker analogy.
Right, go on.
That's a bit like Jamie Webster. When he's up on top of rooftop singing LA, he's Spider-Man. But his day job at the end of the day is writing and creating good music. And Peter Parker, I'm sure, is a very good journalist. So support the both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Very good analogy. I didn't know where you were going with that. But
so do I have to buy this album and then go on to Sky and buy Spider-Man?
Just make sure you don't just do Spider-Man. Buy the album. Make sure you get the album in.
It just means buy the album, but still go to Boss Nights.
All right, fair enough.
Boss Nights is where you see the superhero shit.
All right.
And
that's where you see all Andy and his mates, all the top reds.
Yeah,
up the front, throwing ale everywhere.
Up the front, throwing your boxers up at Jamie.
Spit on me, Jamie. Spit on me.
Yeah. No, listen. In all seriousness, in all fairness, the lad, he's brought out an album and forget the football stuff. Fan. He's a Liverpool fan. He's put out an album. Go and buy it. $4.99 is really good, though. I have to say.
Yeah, fair play.
Someone says that Peter Parker is actually a photographer. I wasn't sure.
Jesus.
Probably a side job. It's probably a side gig.
I thought he was a journalist.
Who said that? Chris Brack, was it?
Yeah.
Jesus, relax, Chris. What an outburst.
Yeah, outrageous. Scandalous outburst. But anyway, we were wrapping that up 5 minutes ago and we're still going on now. We're in a tangent, so we'll let the good listeners go. Lads, it's been a pleasure. We've been the LFC Daytrippers Transfer Agenda Show, and we'll bid you all good night.